actually not one for changing comp plans every year. It's seen as best practice, but it can be a bit of a distraction, or signal a lack of faith in the long-term direction if you continuously change a comp plan. I think a level of consistency about how to make money is needed, and you should be building a comp plan that can grow with the company, at least for 2 to 3 years. So I vote for consistency over change year over year.
No, for sure. I liken it to how you engage with consumer loyalty programs. If all of a sudden your airline loyalty program just completely pulled the rug underneath you, I mean, like, think about how disruptive that would be. And for the most part, they are generally consistent. I do believe in this, but I also believe in dynamic comp. Like, those two things seem contradictory, but they're actually not, because you can't have incentives that change on a weekly basis and pull the rug out from everyone every week. I believe the foundation layer of comp should be consistent. And then to your point on accelerators being kind of used in multiple ways, I mean, as an example, anyone who hits this sub-target of this new product launch within this quarter gets a bump or accelerator that gets added to their base comp. But then I go into every year knowing, like, this is the base structure. And there's a lot of design and strategies to go into that, because, like, what is the fundamental base that you're comfortable with over years, like 5 to 10 years, that aligns with the long-term business? And then how do you separate out the more short-term strategic elements of it? Even something like pulling out, like, product classification, like, these 5 SKUs are tier 1 products, these are tier 2. The base comp plan might pay differently for tier 1 versus tier 2, but your ability to redefine what sits in those is a little bit, up to kind of like the intermediate business strategy.
I think you're right. Like, you keep the foundation, the components of the compensation plan, sometimes even weighting, you can keep those pretty standard. And in order for compensation to evolve with the company, you do want tweaks year over year, but 80% should kind of like stay pretty monotonous until you're going through a period of transformation. If you look at like maybe using kickers or auxiliary programs, those are year over year change, sometimes quarter over quarter even. You want to drive a particularly short-term goal. Spiffs as well, quarter over quarter changes, of course. But I think the other thing I look at is when you've put guardrails into a plan, like say a gate, for example, or a hurdle, you might set it at one level for the first year to drive a minimum level of performance that's maybe a little bit higher, to drive that adoption, get people used to the new concept. Maybe they've never had that guardrail or constraint in their commissions before. And then as that behavior becomes adopted and more mainstream, you can start to lower that. It's not necessarily needed as much as a guardrail. Equally, if you see it's not been adopted, maybe you have to increase it. So I think things like that are the tweaks that I think about making year over year, as opposed to rip and replace of a comp.
100%.